Hi, guys. Milestone 2 for the 100 Kingdoms. I'm continuing my journey into conquest with the 100 Kingdoms. Milestone 1 is now behind us. I now get to play with some new models. As always, you can join in either with your own completely unique list to yourself, or you're very welcome to follow along with the lists and the stages that I'm doing. Because I was very fortunate to have Leo help guide me on the way, because my fellow participants in this slow grow, I am determined to kick their backsides. And Leo's going to help me do that. Bearing in mind, if you watch their videos, Leo is also going to help them do that. But, well, anyway.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun for me. I'm going to hype everyone up, and then I see you guys fight each other. So that's
right. So I'm going to add a few gameplay options, some new rules, and
right.
try and tighten up the ranks of my army in this one, Leo. So what am I adding this time?
So now in the second milestone, where we really start putting an army together, and we really start shaping the tactics and the strategies we're going to be using. So we have a really nice new toys here. One thing is we're going to be adding an Imperial officer.
Yep.
Right, and we're going to see the different synergies. An Imperial officer, it comes from the Imperial Colleges of War, essentially, from the Imperial Legions, and they are the individuals that are responsible, to command the Imperial armies, as in highly professional, highly trained armies, right? And you're gonna see with them retinues. You're gonna see men at arms with them, professional soldiers. You're gonna see mercenary crossbowmen. You're gonna see the more structured armies, sort of regiments that will be accompanying them. And of course, many times, a lord will opt to have an Imperial officer lead the army rather than, as they are good strategists, rather than leading them themselves. It depends really.
So I may well change my Warlord in this at this stage then, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, and it really depends. It really depends how close your lord is to the closest thing that exists to a throne. So there, you can add the story of your kingdom in there, how much you want your kingdom to be on its own, or how much you feel your kingdom goes towards being part of this coalition that wants to recreate the empire. So there is a lot of different cool lore elements you can use in there.
Yeah.
Then we're going to be going for mercenary crossbowmen. The mercenary crossbowmen, as you would expect, ranged weapons. They're armor piercing, shorter range, but very good at dealing with shields, with armor overall. And one of the greatest things is that the mercenary crossbowmen are a light regiment, right? So they start off from the very early stages of the game, and they can really do some damage to other light regiments. It's great at supporting your infantry, overall solid regiment. And then
these guys will help protect my flanks a little bit as well. They give me a bit of range to try and keep stuff at bay a little bit.
Especially when you have enemy reinforcements coming in from the sides, they're going to take a nasty volley of armor piercing bolts before they can charge you. So that really helps protect the flanks. And then we have the Household Guard. The Household Guard, one of the newest regiments in the 100 Kingdoms. Absolutely, I love the Household Guard. Absolutely gorgeous regiment. The Household Guard are the epitome of trained and disciplined soldiers. And they're really cool because you can model them to make a full-on halberd phalanx. I just absolutely love it. They're there, with the high defense, and the halberds give you cleave 1. So that's very useful. And they have some incredible synergies with a noble lord as well. So a lot of options, a lot of different ways to play the game.
Halberds, man. Ooh, yeah.
They are really, really cool looking. I absolutely love them. It's one of my favorite regiments. You're going to be seeing in the game at least, and we're going to build up to that, the big chunky regiment of Household Guard. It's going to be great.
Okay. And then lastly, we're adding some. Oh no, that is the three items that we're adding. So do you know what? Then I'm going to jump into the army builder, Leo.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's my list as it stood.
Perfect.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few changes here.
We're going to rearrange a few things. As a good thing about the army builder is that if you want to change your army list on the fly, let's say last time we put an upper limit of 600 points.
Yeah.
If you want to change that, you'll notice that right underneath the name of the list, there's a little pencil icon. If you click on that and click edit, then you can change the point ceiling as well. So you can change the points. So now we're going to go about to 900 points.
Okay, so let's
up an upper ceiling.
My limit.
Yeah. Now these are at this point they're estimates. We are making sure that we create a balanced game between the factions with every increment at this point level, but it might be a little bit above or a little bit below. But that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna do a few things here. The first thing is that we will be combining the two smaller militia regiments into one.
So we can this go ahead and this one.
Delete, we can go ahead and delete one of the two militia regiments, and then we can go to the other one and add 3 stands to it.
There we go. So I know I have one large militia unit with 6 stands.
Perfect. So now the other thing we can do is that we can, since we have selected the Noble Lord's regiment, we can go to the left column and add a regiment of Household Guard.
That's these guys here.
There we go. Now, I would suggest adding a standard bearer to them, and we can do that by clicking there and adding the standard bearer icon. Now, the standard bearer allows you to reroll charges, and that's very useful, especially for a regiment like the Household Guard. Allows you to make sure you get stuck in, you get to attack an objective, and you have the tools to keep it.
Would it be worth me adding a standard bearer to my Household Knights then as well?
Yeah, and that's a great idea.
Okay, that should, in theory, then make these guys a little bit more brutal as well.
Yeah, I mean the turning champion allows you to charge and move further, and the standard bearer allows you to re-roll that. So that really solidifies, that really helps you to make sure that you have threat ranges that you can reach far deep into the enemy flanks and to the enemy rear. That's going to help you a lot, especially when fighting against Dragon Ballista or Stalkers. These are units that are going to be a pain, especially during the early game, and you need to have something that will at least threaten them, push them off a flank. So the Household Knights with this build are going to be incredibly useful like that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is that we want to move on and add a second warband. In order to do that, we need to deselect the Noble Lord there, and you'll notice that plus buttons went up to the characters again. So now we get to create another warband, and we want to go to the Imperial Officer and add one.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, once we do that, we want to make sure that we add a regiment of mercenary crossbowmen to them.
So I click that. It shows me what I can add here. And
there's a
mercenary crossbowman. I'm loving this army builder.
Yeah. No, it's really easy to use. We knew how we build lists and how we would like to have it, so we made sure we make it functional. So here we get a few choices, right? The first thing we get to choose is whether we want the Noble Lord or the Imperial Officer as our Warlord, right? And it has to do first of all with what kind of strategy you wanna play, and what the story of your kingdom is, right? Now, given that we have a lot of knights and we have a lot of Household Guard, we're gonna assume that our kingdom is a lot closer to the throne, and therefore has access, to a lot of the really cool armor and weapons.
Yeah.
And so what we're gonna do is that let's assume that in our story, of course, it's your kingdom, but this was made with the thought that they're affluent enough to have an officer help lead their armies.
Yes.
Whilst the Noble Lord, has a lot more of the fun of just fighting without really having to think about, the maneuvering.
That makes
sense. So what
sense.
we can do is that we can edit the Imperial Officer by clicking on the gear right next to it. and add it as a warlord.
Okay.
And then we're going to deselect the noble lord as a warlord. There we go.
Awesome. So, so now the vibe of my army is it's much more professional. It's a professional. It feels almost like a professional standing army. I have an imperial officer leading it. Of course, my noble lord is there, but he's there almost as a fighting figurehead rather than being the tactical underbelly of the army itself. At least that's how it is. That's how it's appearing in my head, man.
No, I mean that's that was it's a great approach, and it's a very you get all these all these approaches you can take, and it really adds flavor to the faction because you can really create this narrative with you. And I love especially how the Lord is coming with their own standard, with their own banner, the banner of steel in this case. It really adds a lot of visual interest in the army as well, and that's something I absolutely love. Now, for the players at home that are thinking which character they would like as a warlord, the noble lord essentially has a more offensive supremacy ability. The supremacy ability is something that you activate with your warlord at the beginning of a turn. Essentially, these are powerful abilities that each character has one unique to them, and they get access to it if that character is the warlord. In the noble lord's case, they have the for honor ability. Essentially, that is, it gives you the fury draw event. Fury gives you an extra attack per stand. That's specifically useful for things with high cleave values. Household Guard are really good, but then Steel Legion are even better, right? Because they have a cleave of 2. They're very deadly like that. And also they give you +1 attack on impact for cavalry, so that's also useful for the knights. And then on the other hand, you have the noble lord that allows you to rearrange your command stack once you've seen who plays first. That's a great ability to have, because
that's the imperial officer or the noble lord.
That's right. Because if you see that you're going to be going second, then you get the opportunity to rearrange your entire stack, and that's a powerful ability in Conquest.
So which of the warlords does that? The imperial officer or the noble lord?
That's the imperial officer. That's right.
Right. So imperial officer does that. So so he's more organizational skills kind of a thing. Yeah. Okay.
So that's a very useful ability as well. Now, playing this list, it's good to think of your militia as an early game anvil. Once again, you have a slot available in your noble lord's warband in case you want to split the militia into 2 regiments and add, for example, a regiment of bowmen. But that's for the players that have opted to do that in Milestone 1. So you still get usability there. The household guard will be able to, and the household knights will be able to outmaneuver and charge from the flanks while the militia are holding them. So that's going to be very important.
So there's my hammers and my anvil. Smash. Okay, right. Yep.
Especially if you add the noble lord with a standard of steel to your militia, it's going to be very good, because the standard of steel means that attacks inflicted onto the regiment equipped with it, right, into the character's regiment, never count their hits are as inspired, right? Because we've said in the past, for example, if you had a class of 2, that means you hit on 1s and 2s. If you're inspired, you get a +1. So you go up to a class of 3 and you would hit on 1, 2s, and 3s. But if you are not allowed to get any inspiration bonuses, that means you can never get the +1 clash. So that means that a lot of regiments out there, especially during the early stages of the game, that they have really low class values, are not really capable of bringing that pain that would otherwise inflict to the militia. So it really helps.
Where my militia really holds the line, keeps them locked up, and gives me time then to hit the flanks. Yeah,
exactly. So that's a very good synergy right there, especially for the early game. We're gonna see some more combinations, some really good synergies later on. But for now, you have a really solid core to play the game with.
Fantastic. Right. Well, that takes me up to 870-ish points. If you guys are interested in the militia, there's also a really nice blog piece, a spotlight on the militia, where you can find out a bit more about them. The Conquest site is a glorious book of all sorts of information, so it's well worth a browse around. Right, I am going to export that as the PDF, which now gives me the latest.
I think that's the previous list.
Oh, that is the previous list. So let me just try downloading that again. Okay, it's still the previous list. I might have to save it, but I'll have it saved for the next time. Right.
Yeah.
Leo, thank you for that. I know what I'm at for Milestone 2. I'm going to grab myself an Imperial Officer, Mercenary Crossbowmen, Household Guard, and really start to see this army start to expand its ranks. And I'm really interested in the tactical options. This hammer and anvil thing. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.